Did you know Rolls-Royce has a bespoke program where you can custom order a color and design your own interior? Well, that sounds a lot like a Helderburg because you can custom order your color and design your interior. Today, we're going to talk about Arete. The meaning of Arete is excellence. You know, there's a time in a gentleman's life that he just has to do it. And what I'm talking about is he has to have his rugged luxury and then his luxury. So Arete, the meaning, again, the meaning means excellence. And the reason that it's excellence, well, I think it's really simple. Just take a look and tell me if you don't feel like this is absolute excellence. The color is... I always say that about the color though, don't I? Every video I talk about the color and I tell you how wonderful the color is. And again, the color is wonderful. This is a non-metallic color. This is a custom mix. And it has that military-esque feel in a way. But at least that's what I've heard a couple times out and driving it, that people are like, oh, it kind of looks military. Me, I feel like it looks very British. I feel like that this should be on the countryside. This should be parked at your estate, and you should have basically your waistcoat on and your shotgun, and you're getting ready to go for an upland hunt, or you're going fly fishing. And let me tell you a little bit about D110 Double Cabs, because a lot of times people get very confused. They confuse a 110 Double Cab from a 130 four-door pickup truck. The 110 Double Cab, 110 meaning 110 inches center of axle to center of axle. The 130 pickup truck means 130 inches, and it also has a separate truck bed. But this design, this was a design that I said, we have to really approach this in a way that it's bold, that it's unique, it's different, and it turns heads, but I mean, every Helderburg does that. But I wanted some subtle differences. I wanted it to stand out a little more. I mean, of course, just the stance of it makes it stand out. And then the roll cage on it, the adventure rack, makes it stand out. And then, of course, the wider arches, if you didn't notice that this definitely makes it stand out. But it allows you to do some serious trails when you're going fly fishing, or if you're going on that hunting trip, or you're just exploring. And then moving around the front too, of course, is if you've watched my videos anytime that I have a winch, you know that this is my favorite winch, which is a red winch, and love working with these guys. They are true craftsmen because the red winch is billet aluminum that has been milled by hand, and I think it's just, there's something special that when you get to work with a company and you are working with the founder, the owner, and because there's something unmistakable about the passion that a founder owner will have about what he creates. And that's the case with the red winch, and that's why I enjoy working with them. So we talk about the gearing of the winch and what it will do, and I know some of you are probably saying, are you ever going to use the winch? And I'm like, you never know, but if you're going to use the winch, it's nice to be able to have it the way you want it. So again, the gearing's adjustable on it, and they even said, Paul, why don't we put the Helderburg brand on the winch? And I said, yeah, sure, that'd be wonderful. So they did that. So again, I'll just kind of leave it at that. And then of course the bump out with the metal grill. Oh, sorry, Lucy. But the bump out with the metal grill to create dimension, the billet aluminum Helderburg headlight surrounds, and then of course our unmistakable broken beam headlights, which very soon we have a new headlight design coming out that well, there's going to be a lot of press, other Arete's press about it, but just know that that's coming really soon. And then moving on back here, I'm really, as you could probably tell, I'm really excited. I want to show you the interior because the interior is not the traditional interior that you would see in a Helderburg, but well, is there really such a thing as a traditional interior in a Helderberg? We always do something different, and that's definitely the case here. But again, I was following a very thin line that I wanted it to be timeless, timeless, that if we look at this truck 10, 15, 20 years from now, it will still look current. And that's exactly what we did. So let's take a look at the interior now. So now that we're at the interior, and I want to give you a visual of what this interior feels like, what it smells like, what it makes me feel. And if you know anything about English shotguns, if I say the name Purdy or I say Holland and Holland, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's what it feels like. It feels like that I have a custom shotgun case for a pair of Holland and Hollands. And if you've seen those leather cases that Holland and Holland has, then you'll know exactly what I mean when it comes to the leather. Not only the color, but the feeling and the texture. And I've described the leather and what we do, that the leather comes from a tannery in Scotland and it's tanned to order. And this color is a dark chocolate. Let's just put it that way. But it's just hard to explain. You have to feel Helderberg leather to really understand it. You have to see it in person. You have to see the stitching and the perfection of the stitching and how the saddle stitch actually goes and how the leather is all tucked in, and then the fluting pattern, and then of course we did perforation. We've been doing a lot of perforation lately, and I think it's as anything, any company, any brand, as time goes on, you start to adapt and you start to do new things and try new things. And that's exactly what's happening on the Helderberg, really Helderberg design, that we're evolving the designs on the interior. And we're not doing it for the sake of doing it, but we do it as we start to understand the client and who they are and what's important to them. And then that's how the interior comes together. And not just the materials in the interior, but the comfort of the interior and how it fits the individual. So the seats are always custom made, specific to the client. The pedals are adjusted, the thickness of the steering wheel, the shift rod, the length of that, the center console, the height of that. And we build we do the coach work. We create a cockpit for that individual so they are comfortable. If they are taller, well, then they have more room. If they're shorter, and then of course everything comes up. If they need a seat that's tilted up a little more, or if they have knee problems, those are things that we find out, because there's certain elements that we can do to create an interior or a cockpit specific to that individual. Because amazing enough, which I'm coming more and more to realize, is we have a lot of clients that are driving their Helderberg every single day, that it becomes their daily driver, that they have many other vehicles in the garage, but there's just something about the nostalgia and just the energy and the calmness that you have when you drive a Helderberg, and that's what they've started to do. And then of course keeping that design ethos that Helderberg is known for with the analog gauges. There's just something beautiful about having a speedometer that's still analog without all the LED, and seeing the needle move up and down, and it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. And the same thing that when it comes to the turn signals and the windshield wipers and all that, when you click a turn signal, that it's that very mechanical feel and sound, that you can hear the gears clicking and engaging. And as you turn that steering wheel to go around the corner, you can feel the gear a little bit. And then when you come back to center, which by the way, a Helderberg automatically comes back to center after you go around a corner, and the way it disengages is it's just magical. So it's that analog feeling that we've lost in our modern vehicles. And it's not that it's a bad thing, everything progresses, but there's just sometimes that we would rather sit down with a fountain pen and write a note, or we would just rather do things old school, whether it's get a camera out and put a roll of film in it, or get in your Helderburg and drive down the road and feel really more alive and more connected to everything that's around us. So interior-wise, it's simple, it's elegant, and it's comfortable, extremely comfortable. And then I even continued on into the floor with the German square weave wool carpeting, and audio has not been done yet. And I'm going to keep the audio system pretty simple, but it is going to sound wonderful. We will do the Focal speakers that will be mounted everywhere, which are handmade in France, and the Marconi amplifiers, and the Italian amplifiers, and combine all of the elements and then tune it specifically to the cabin. And of course, an analog, well, the head unit, what we call, will have that analog feel for a volume dial. So it will all come together. And then everywhere you look, you'll see leather. Even on the B-pillar is leather. And the smell of leather in here is just wonderful. And this is a smell that will continue for many, many years just due to the high wax content. So let's look around the tail end, because the back, because I know you want to see that part, because we really continued that analog feeling, but also keeping it very timeless. So as you're watching, what are the things that stand out? What do you notice here on the back of Arete here? What really speaks to you? Is there anything? Well, I'm going to tell you there's a few things that I notice that were by design. The first thing is the hinges. Kept these galvanized for just a little bit of contrast. I mean, it would have been so easy. It would have been much easier just to paint it, right? Of course. But I wanted just a little bit of accent to create a separation and also allow the depth of the tailgate. And then, of course, the brackets here, kept them galvanized too. Again, just these little subtle things. It would have been really easy to just do everything in this custom color and call it done, of course, and not really think about it in the design. But this is the subtle little things that make a huge difference. And then the tailgate itself, we could have done the one option where the tailgate is closed off and it's just a smooth piece of aluminum back here that you couldn't see the internal rib here. And of course you would not be able to see the tie downs here. But there's something about the nostalgia of this tailgate that I really appreciate, that I like. And anytime that I'm designing something, that becomes part of the topic that we talk about, that I understand how is the Helderburg going to be used. Because not only can we do a tailgate that's smooth on the back, but we can also do a tailgate that opens this way, so it swings open like a door, versus this one. And here's the mechanical part that I love. Oh, that sound. And then it comes down like that. So now I can't think of a better vehicle to go to tailgate with. I mean, imagine the amount of interest you're going to get if you tailgate with this vehicle. But this is also the ideal picnic bench too. So if you're out on a picnic, this is just a perfect scenario. Noticing D110 Double Cab, again, the bed is different than on a 130. It's a little smaller, and it's not that it's too small. I mean, this is a perfect size to do a lot of stuff. And I mean, if you're running to Home Depot or Lowe's, whatever it may be, I mean, can you think of a better vehicle to take and pick up your dirt or whatever, your straw, whatever you need to pick up? Anyway, again, so tailgate options, we have a fold down, and then we have the swing out. And this one just works perfectly for here. Another thing that you're probably noticing, and you're saying, where's the spare tire? And let's be brutally honest about that. The spare tire weighs around 100 pounds. And if you get a flat tire, I know me personally, I'm not changing it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call AAA, or I'm going to have it towed off. But the fact of the matter is, the wheels and the tires on a Helderburg, I mean, the tires themselves have such really strong sidewalls that if I get a flat tire, I'm just simply going to continue to drive it to wherever the point, the gas station that I need to go to. So that's just a point there. And then of course the bumper is a little different because we did the side bumper here, which makes the ideal step. You just have a much bigger platform to get in and out, so you can swing your leg over and get into the back. And then the rear cross member, we kept it the same as the body color, and this is part of the frame, just to be clear. But just to kind of keep that cleanness in that line and then create an accent out here. And then of course the license plate light is your backup camera too. And then all of the LED lighting, this being your fog light, so this lights up red, and this one being your backup light, which lights up white. So you only have one backup light because that's very European. So what else can I tell you about Arete? Other than I thought about doing a canvas cover to go over the back, and then you have the canvas cover with the cotton rope, and then the ropes tuck right here, and then on the sides, and you pull it tight, but I felt like, nah, that would kind of ruin the lines. Let's just keep it very open and very streamlined. So this is Arete, and the meaning is excellence.